mindful of time. So my name's Alexa Gasky. I'm an assistant director of admission, and I will be helping to moderate and answer some questions in the Q&A. But I'm going to go ahead and pass it on over to my colleagues in Student Financial Services to introduce themselves, and we'll get started with the presentation. You will notice I'm going to turn the chat off now, but we definitely want to hear from you. So please use the Q&A function to ask all your questions. We're going to get to as many as we can. So please put them in the Q&A. We'll answer them throughout the presentation, as well as making sure that we address any leftover after the presentation. And Samantha, I'll pass it to you.
All right, wonderful. Thank you, Alexa. Hi, everyone. My name is Samantha Scott. I'm the director of the Student Accounts Office here at Gonzaga University. I'm also in the Student Financial Services division, which is three different major departments. So student accounts, financial aid, and student employment. And I will pass it over to my colleague, Louisa.
Hi, everybody. My name is Louisa Diana, and I am the Director of Compliance for Student Financial Services. My focus is mostly with financial aid, and I administer the federal and institutional loan programs as well. So I'll be able to answer any loan questions you may have. And I think we'll get started. So Sam, back to you.
Thank you very much. All right, Alexa, we'll go to the agenda first. All right, guys. Well, this is kind of the quick and easily digestible version of our agenda. We're going to go briefly through financial aid, just some high-level thinking in terms of how to apply for it, completing any outstanding requirements, as well as applying for any sort of additional aid if you need to, and appealing for any special circumstances that may not have been eligible or included in your FAFSA information. From there, we're going to talk about the highlight of my life is the billing and payment timeline. Just talking about what billing portal we use, as well as how to set up access on the student's records so that others can view the information and be notified, as well as students when the bills are ready to be viewed. After that, we're going to kind of talk about the options for paying, as well as how to settle your account each semester. That is our helpful phrase around here, settling your account, but we'll go into that a little bit more later. And then finally, we'll have time and just availability if you have any specific questions. But with that, I think we'll go on to the next slide. So like I mentioned, we are three unique individual offices, but we all work together holistically as a student financial services team. And we are dedicated to helping students and families in the pursuit of their educational goals by providing financial information and resources in a professional and individualized manner. We recognize the unique and intrinsic value of each person, and we are committed to serving all in an environment of equality, responsibility, and dignity. I think the one unique piece I want you all to focus on with this is individualized manner. We do an amazing job for a team of 20 of really kind of focusing in on your student and your family's situation and financial needs. So at the end of this, we'll have our contact information, but we can't stress this enough. If you ever have questions or want to talk to an individual in our team, we have appointments available, and we're happy to kind of go over your specific situation so that you can make sure we're addressing any questions you might have. So let's a few minutes. That being said, we do primarily, especially in my area, student accounts, we communicate to the students first and foremost. That's kind of the reason we're all here is your student is attending classes here at Gonzaga University. So we will be communicating with students through a multitude of different ways. The primary one is through Gonzaga email. Now that your student is fully committed to the university, that is our primary source of communication. So we will reach out to students via email with requests for action or information about potential scholarships or aid or requirements that something to be done, and then as well as the billing statements each semester. So student email, if they haven't logged in yet, if students haven't viewed their information, please make sure to get in there and familiarize yourself with that, because there's probably a lot of information from a lot of different departments there. ZagWeb is our student self-service portal. So that is a lot of action items need to be done through ZagWeb, including future terms when they register. That'll be the portal they use to register for classes. It's where they go to accept or decline financial aid offers. And then it's also the link to get into our billing and payment portal. So that's a very important portal. They can view grades. It's kind of everything is in ZagWeb. And then the third one is our daily newsletter. So students will get this as soon as they're registered for classes. We'll start sending out the morning mail newsletter notifications. If they haven't already received them, it'll come once registration happens for students. And this is a link to the website where others can view the information. I think you do have to have a login to get into the site though. So students, if you want to share excerpts from the morning mail, you can certainly forward the email directly to a family member, but a daily copy is sent to your Gonzaga email account, your ZagMail account as well. So we'll put announcements about billing due dates, different action items that we need from the whole university, and potential scholarship or aid opportunities for students to apply for. And then the fourth one is the texting. So students at the time of admission would have opted in or given approval to admissions to have the university be able to text. So if your student opted into that, we will potentially use that in instances where maybe they needed to complete some sort of action item on their financial aid, or if we need to hear from them relating to settling their account. So those are kind of the four big ones around here, how we communicate with students. So familiarize yourself with the two or the three on the top, the email, the ZagWeb, and the morning mail, because those will be ones that are they'll see come up a lot. It looks like over. I think it's passing it over to Louisa now.
Okay, so hopefully by now, most of you have done your FAFSA form for the 24-25 year. I know it's been a little bit rocky with the simplified FAFSA form. I think going forward in future years, it's definitely going to be better than it was in the past, but this first year was a little bit rough. We always recommend that students fill out the FAFSA form, especially for the very first year. Even if you're not planning on getting any federal loan funds, it's just good for us to have that because we do determine eligibility for some other funds based on the FAFSA information. Your financial aid offer is made available to you in ZagWeb, and if you have not done so, definitely get into ZagWeb to accept or decline all of your loan offers and work study offers. Ideally, we would want you to have those accepted before July 1st so that we can make sure that we get you the most accurate billing statement that we possibly can when those go out in July. Also, there may be some unsatisfied requirements that you need to complete. And ZagWeb is where we're going to list those requirements for you to complete. It's going to be on that very first page when you click on the financial aid tile in ZagWeb. And it's going to show up right there. If you don't see it, you can also click on the home tab under the financial aid tile, and then that should list out all of those requirements. And each requirement, if you click on them, should provide you with information about what is needed. And we would want you to try to complete those requirements also as soon as possible, just so that we can make sure to get all of your financial aid finalized before that first day of classes. If you're borrowing a federal loan for the first time, as most incoming freshmen would be, you can complete the promissory note and entrance counseling now if you've not already done so. Those are completed at the studentaid.gov website, and that would show as a requirement on your ZagWeb if you need to do that. So check ZagWeb, see if you need to do it. And then we will also send out some emails over the summer to anyone who has not completed those yet, giving you a link to where you would complete those. Okay, next slide, please. So scholarships is something that we also recommend students apply for. And we had a webinar not too long ago that you can go and view. And this webinar kind of goes over the different types of funding that's available to you, the timeline, and then also goes over the estimated costs for Gonzaga. So definitely scan that QR code and go watch that if you did not attend it or have not watched it yet. So again, the FAFSA form, this is the form that is used to determine all federal and state aid eligibility, but we also use it to determine Gonzaga grant funding. So that is why we recommend that all families, even if they're not interested in receiving any federal funding, complete the FAFSA form, especially their first year of college, because we're going to use this to determine the Gonzaga grant aid. And that Gonzaga grant gets rolled into the Gonzaga guarantee, and your student will receive that funding for all 4 years of their Gonzaga career, even if you don't fill out a FAFSA form in future years. So it's really important to do it that first year. The FAFSA is also based on information from 2 years ago. So it's based on the 2022 income. And the new form now makes it capable that the government pulls your income information directly from the IRS website. So that has been kind of a streamlined process with the new form. And like I said, I think by now, most of the kinks have been worked out of that FAFSA simplification process. So if you haven't done it yet, please do it. Next slide. Who should apply? So the FAFSA form is what's used, like I said, to determine federal and state eligibility. And if you plan to borrow any federal loans, you definitely would have to fill out the FAFSA form. So we recommend that anybody who can apply for it does apply for it, especially that first year. And then it's just going to make it so you're eligible for all potential, or it'll make it so we can screen you for all potential financial aid sources. Okay. So additional aid opportunities. Gonzaga's got a scholarship database search site. If you have not done that, you may want to go to the Gonzaga site and just search for the scholarship search. This is a listing of outside scholarships that may be available to students. And some of them may have had deadlines that have passed already, but even if that's the case, we recommend just maybe like keeping that one in mind then to apply for next year so that you can make sure to know what's kind of available at all times. We're also going to advertise in Morning Mail if we hear of a Gonzaga-based scholarship throughout the year, so be checking Morning Mail as well. Another option that families have is to borrow loans in their names, either through the Federal Parent Plus loan, that would be a loan in the parent's name, or private alternative loans. And the private alternative loans can be borrowed by either the student or the parent. If it's borrowed by the student, usually they do need a creditworthy cosigner to get the best interest rates, but not always. And a good site to search for lenders is elmselect.com. And that's just kind of it's a historical list of lenders that Gonzaga students have used over the past 3 years. So we're not recommending one lender over another. It's just kind of giving you an idea of who might be a good option for you to go through. Then the federal loans, what's nice about federal loans is these have different deferment and forbearance provisions that private loans would not have. The interest rates on the federal loans this year for the subsidized and unsubsidized loan, the interest rate is 1.057%. And the plus loan is 4.228%. So I'm sorry, that's not the interest rates, that's the loan fee. So the government is going to charge you a fee to process these loans for you. So for the students, the government is going to keep 1.057% of the loan. And then for the Federal Parent Plus loan, they're going to keep 4.228%. The subsidized loan, what that means is that the government is paying the interest for you on that loan while the student is enrolled at least half time. So no interest is accruing on subsidized loans. On the unsubsidized loan, the interest does start accruing from the time the funds are dispersed, but payment on the interest is not needed until after a student graduates. So just something to kind of keep in mind. And when you go through the entrance counseling and the promissory note, it goes over all of that information. Okay, next slide. So because the FAFSA form is based on information that is 2 years old, we know that that your situation could be a lot different than it was 2 years ago. So that is something that we can take into consideration through a special circumstances appeal. And if you go to the Gonzaga website and just search financial aid appeals, you should come to this website. So some things that we can look at are like reduction in wages, or if you're paying for schooling for a sibling, for the student's sibling at another school, we can look at that as well. And we would just ask that you complete that form to let us know of your unique situation, and then we can reach out to you to go over exactly what we may be able to consider. And I think Samantha, you're up.
Now my turn. So student accounts. So I have a link to our website up on top. We have a lot of information to kind of go over, but we'll start with kind of the big one. Billing and payment is done exclusively online through our third-party partner Transact Payments. They were formerly known as CashNet, but now they are branded as Transact Payments. So you might see one or both names show up on different websites around Gonzaga's campus. That is because this is the e-commerce site used across campus. So we use this site primarily, obviously, for tuition and billing for student account related fees. So tuition, housing, meal plan, those sorts of things. But the e-commerce portion of it also relates to departmental checkouts. So any, like the Kennel Club, different clubs, different groups, organizations across campus would have their own unique store on Transact Payments. where you can pay for those individual items. So transact payments you might see come up a lot, but related to the student accounts office, transact payments is how we will bill. We'll present a billing statement online, but you can also choose to pay online. You're not required to pay through that system, but you are able to pay using a couple of payment methods. So the debit or credit card option is available. We also have an international funds transfer option. It's called Flywire. And then finally, domestic bank accounts, so United States bank accounts. We do not accept, unfortunately, international bank account information. That would be in tandem with Flywire, or we can certainly provide you with wire transfer instructions. But we have more information about payment options coming soon. So as I mentioned earlier, students are the first line of defense. We will email them about every bill, anything that happens on their student account. We're going to start with the student. So what we recommend doing right now is scanning this QR code. The students need to grant authorized payer access. If they don't do that, we are only able to talk to your student about their account. So the video that the QR code is going to show up is the step-by-step on how a student would set up an authorized payer. So if they have multiple people paying, if there's grandparents that are paying on their behalf, whoever needs to be notified about bills or have the ability to pay, please make sure that the student is setting them up as an authorized payer. And ahead of our billing next month, it would be very beneficial to do it this month so that everyone has time to log in and make sure they can get into the account and everything. And then, like I mentioned, eMarket is the department or groups across campus use it for different things. So buying a parking pass, you'll see there's a store you pay through, Kennel Club, different intramurals and things that are across campus. They all have a store through Transact payments. So Transact is the e-commerce site used across campus. We use it for billing and payment as well. So timeline. So the next, well, let's start with the current month that we're in, June. What we're hoping right now is students are taking advantage of this time to kind of look at what award aid offers or look at their aid award letter, look at the offer of aid that they've already received from Gonzaga. And in ZagWeb, under the financial aid tile, is the ability to choose to accept or decline different offers from the university. So right now they should be doing that. Ahead of the bill, look at what has been offered. The award letter even provided a cost of attendance estimate. So you should have that information. The students should have that information. And I believe, is it in Slate as well, Alexa, the award letter?
I'm not positive, but ZagWeb will be the most
Accurate.
accurate. Yeah.
Okay. So with that, obviously accept or decline offers. Please also report any scholarships from sources outside of the university. If you were granted an academic scholarship from your high school, if there's a Rotary scholarship that you received, any sort of source that outside of the university that you're getting a scholarship from, there's a spot in the financial aid tile to report any of those outside scholarship sources so that we're aware of it. Financial aid can review your award as well and just make sure that it's incorporated into your budget. And then finally, with aid related, please verify and just complete any outstanding aid requirements. So as a first-time loan borrower, for instance, students are required to complete a master promissory note as well as loan entrance counseling. That is unique to the first-time borrowers. So there's a statute of time, I believe it's 10 years. As soon as they submit that information, as long as they're completing their education within 10 years, they would not have to complete that again if they were doing a federal direct loan. If they continue into grad school or doctorate studies and it goes beyond 10 years, then there's a chance they'll have to complete one again. But so those are kind of examples of different aid requirements that are things that students could be doing right now. That will delay or impact when the aid actually arrives to Gonzaga. So it's best to get all of those requirements done now. And you can see all of those in the financial aid tile in Gonzaga. And then finally, obviously setting up the authorized payers. When we bill next month, students automatically get the bill notification. They can't opt out. They're always going to get notified. But if they want anyone else to be able to view the bill or get notified about when the bill is available, they need to set up those authorized payers now. So next month, mid-July, assuming the majority of everyone's registered, we're going to send the fall bills. And that'll go live online on Transact Payments, and then we will notify all the students, like I mentioned, and then any authorized payers that are set up at that time. If your student gets the bill notification and then sets you up as an authorized payer, you're not going to get a bill email, but you will get an email about logging in and setting up your account, and then you'll be able to see the outstanding bill. So July, mid-July, the bill is going to go out. If you haven't gotten an email by mid-July, there's a good chance your student probably hasn't set you up yet. So just be mindful of that over the next couple of weeks of checking in with your student. During orientation, we also remind students a ton of times while they're here in our office. So, and then August, the fall payment arrangement deadline. So you don't have to pay in full at that date, but we need to know how you plan to pay is going to be August 6th. And we'll go over the options in a minute, but August 6th is the big deadline for fall. And then it kind of repeats itself. So this fall semester, students, first year students are going to be registered with the help of academic advising and assistance. That is a department here on campus that helps register all first year students. And then in October, November, students start meeting with their academic advisors. And so that spring registration is going to start November. And then kind of the same process. Once we have the majority of the students registered for spring, we plan to bill right before finals. Just so that we can help students before they head out for winter break. If they have questions, they can stop in and just come in while they're here. And then the spring payment arrangement deadline is going to be January 2nd, 2025. Like I said, that's not when payment is due. We just need to know what your plan is to pay for spring by January 2nd. So there's a few options that we'll go over here about payment options. Thanks, Melissa. Okay, so settling your account is the same as setting up a payment arrangement. We refer to it as this settling your account, but each semester students are required to settle their account by coordinating their plan to pay. Tell us how you want to pay, how you're going to pay. So step one is, we're going to send the bills for registered students. We'll post them online and transact, and then an email notification is sent out. We don't mail any physical bills. It's all done online. So if a student gets a bill and someone would prefer a physical bill, they can download it. There's a PDF they can download online and just print it and give it to someone, or they can share it with them by email themselves as well. For fall semester, we'll plan to get the bills online by the middle of July, and then emails will go out as soon as the bills are posted. And then the same thing for spring, we plan to bill it by the middle of December. So once the bill's on there, we just ask that every student logs in and reviews the bill, looks at the account information, their housing, their meal plan looks right, their aid looks right. Oh, I didn't want to take the loan this semester. Let me talk to someone. Let's get it as accurate as your needs need to have before the deadline. So realistically, that gives us a stretch of time where we can help kind of work on accuracy. If there's something wrong, we need you to speak up, because we do the best that we can, but only you really know what your situation is and what things are supposed to be on your account at any given time. So fall semester deadline coming up August 6th would be the deadline to tell us how you plan to pay. And then spring semester will be January 2nd of 2025. And we'll go into the next slide. So one that's not on here is financial aid. Most first year students don't have financial aid that usually exceeds their tuition. So with the help of financial aid, we'll bill you for tuition, housing, and meal plan, and the mandatory registration fees. So that amount minus any accepted aid is what's going to be due. So if you owe a balance out of pocket and you're able to just pay it in full by August 6th, we have that as one of our payment arrangements. So your online payment or mailing in a payment or a wire transfer must reach our office by the semester payment deadline. And you can mail the checks directly to that information here on the screen. It'll also be on the bill. The other option is to enroll into a monthly payment plan. So you see the amount less the aid, so total semester cost minus the verified aid. We don't include work study. Students work to earn the funds from the work study. So they'll work over the course of the semester, the academic year, to earn the funds from the work study. And that'll be received in the form of a paycheck. So it won't be, you won't see it on the student's account. They'll actually be receiving a paycheck. If your student would like to help make monthly payments with their earnings from their work study, they can do that, but they will be getting a paycheck, and then they would actually have to make the payment online for their account. And then same thing with pending outside scholarships. We're only going to report scholarships that we've actually received. So if there's something coming and it's not there by the time you're enrolling in the payment plan, unfortunately, it won't be incorporated. But as soon as the money shows up from the scholarship, it'll help reduce whatever remaining payments you have for that semester. So for fall semester and spring semester, we have a 4-month payment plan. Each semester you have to re-enroll. So for fall semester, those monthly payments would run from August to November. And then we'll bill you in December for spring. And then you would have to re-enroll if you want to do the spring semester payment plan by January. And then that'll run from January to April. So the enrollment is per semester and requires a $50 non-refundable application or enrollment fee each term, but it is interest-free. So if you're able to pay in fall, we give you till the 10th of every month with a 10-day grace period. So realistically, by the 20th of every month, if you're able to pay, no interest, no charges. The only interest would be charged for the late payments beyond the grace period there. So if you enroll and transact, your first payment and your application fee are due at the time of enrollment. So for fall semester, August 6th, you'll log in and or before August 6th, you can enroll and make your first payment on the payment plan. You can even sign up for auto pay. So for September, October, and November, you can have it scheduled, whatever. You don't have to use the same account you use for the first payment either. So you can kind of schedule to use a different account to have it automatically deduct for the 3 remaining payments. Another payment arrangement option is you can't make it in full by August 6th, or you need to research additional aid. We offer the ability to defer the payment deadline. It'll give you actually into the first week of the semester, so students can come in and bring in a check when they get to campus, for instance. That's something that we've seen as well. Or if you just need more time to research financial aid or other loan information, this option, this promise to pay deferment, will also be in Transact. So as soon as the bill is posted, there's an option on the main screen. It'll say promise to pay. You agree to the terms of the deferment, just saying, yes, I'll pay in full by the end of the first week of the semester. There's no fee to do that. We just need your signature on that agreement. And then you guys have settled your account by deferring until the end of the first week of the semester. And then the last one is going to be third-party sponsorship. So this one is traditionally like our military benefits. So anyone who is receiving GI Bill benefits, either from their parent or from themselves, they usually receive or they get certified. And then we receive information from our school certifying official that those students are going to be sponsored for the fall semester or for the year. But if you have any other sponsorship, any other company or organization that's going to cover your tuition, we would just ask that we get a written letter of intent to pay by August 6th for fall semester. If there's any other stipulations in terms of like it being a reimbursement or that they won't pay until the student has kind of demonstrated a minimum GPA, that unfortunately does not qualify. In that case, we would recommend that you do any other of the payment arrangements. So paying it out of pocket and getting reimbursed once they pay, or the monthly installment, or just the deferment until the first week of the semester. So that's kind of it. Those are the big ones. If there's something that that's not going to work for you, or you're still needing some additional help, we are here to help. So if none of these options are really going to work for your family or your financial situation, we have an appointment link at the end of this presentation. We would just ask that you reach out to us and we can kind of go over your options for your individual situation. Sorry, I was talking to payment methods. So as I mentioned, this website up on the top has a list of the more granular information about each one of these. We accept mail. Obviously, you can mail check to us, or if we have a bill pay, they'll email the payment to us. You can stop in. We're here all summer. We also have a summer semester right now, so we have students on campus and different people coming in. Through Transact Payments, we also offer the electronic check. There's no service fee to pay online. You just need to know your bank account number and the routing number. Online through Transact Payments is the only method of payment to pay if you want to use a credit or a debit card. We do not accept cards here in our office. And the only snafu with that is there is a card servicer fee. So the convenience of paying with the card online comes with a percentage. So that percentage is deducted from each payment. So if you make a $1,000 payment and it's from a domestic bank account, it'll be, or domestic card, it'll be a 2.95% fee of your $1,000 payment. The other one is Flywire, our international funds or international payment option. That is also a link directly through Transact Payments. So if you'd like to pay in your home currency, you'd click on the international funds transfer, international payment. It'll direct you to the Flywire payment where you can select your home country as well as what version of the currency you were choosing to pay. And it kind of gives you different options based on the exchange rate for your home country and what is going to make the most sense for you. Wire transfer, we don't have the information displayed on our website, but if that's something that's interesting to you, we do have the information. We'd be happy to share it with you. Just feel free to reach out to our office and we can get that to you. Financial aid, like I mentioned, a lot of students, first-year students may not have financial aid in excess of their tuition and fees, but they will have a good portion of it either covered by scholarships, grants, or loans. So all of those can be used to help cover charges on the student's account. And if it covers everything, right, we would have a refund available for students or parents, depending on who the borrower of the aid is. And then besides that, college savings or 529 accounts, you've probably been paying into them your student's whole life. So at this point, I would definitely recommend reaching out to your account holder, the organization, and just double check if there's anything that they require before they release funds. Some require a billing statement. So like I mentioned, we'll be billing around the middle of July. That has everything itemized on it, tuition, housing, meal plan. So if they need anything else more granular than that, including like a verification of enrollment or anything, I would almost suggest doing that now, just because those can sometimes take a while to request funds. For instance, the Washington 529, the Dream Ahead, and the the Washington 529 programs. They won't actually open up the information to request the funds until August 1st. So in that case, if you're using something like our Dream Ahead or the Washington 529 program, I would say it would almost be better for you to defer. So the deferment, like I said, there's no fee to do that, but it'll extend the payment deadline instead of having it due August 6th. It'll give you till the end of the first week of the semester. So while we wait for the 529 payment requests to come in, that'll just give you peace of mind. Like, we're good. We settled the account. We're going to wait for your 529 payment to show up. But like I said, if there's any other information they need from us, I would absolutely suggest reaching out to us now. We're happy to help get that going now so that we can get you everything you need so you don't have to wait during the busiest time around here. And then finally, military benefits. This is the website for military tuition benefits, how to use them here at the university. Our chief certifying officer, Ryan Forum, his contact information is on there. If you, those who are interested in utilizing their GI Bill benefits, if you haven't talked to him yet or reached out to him, you can certainly schedule a time with him, but he has more information and we have more information about the different benefits and what needs to be requested before we can help coordinate that on your student account. So that's a lot. I just said a lot of information. Alexa, if you want to move on to the next one. That was like a ton of information we just deposited. So I'm hopeful if anyone has any other questions, speak now and we'll try to get into the Q&A stuff and we can do live answers, I guess, too.
Yeah, I can go ahead and get started with some of the questions we got. We got a couple about the credit card payments incurring an additional fee, and we covered that in the last slides. Hopefully you were all able to get that. Another question, after the student sets up authorization, will parents be able to call in with questions and get those answered?
So yes and no. We can help with student account related questions. We are not able to help with registration specific questions or grade questions. So the authorized payer, it pretty much gives us the ability to talk to you about the billing and the payment options, as well as anything you would see in transact payments. So you'll have a lot of information at your disposal. There's also dynamic billing in transact, which is all that means is that it keeps up in real time. So as students are adding or dropping or changing classes or doing anything or charging things to their account, it's keeping up in real time. So if your student knows they're changing, like adding a ton of classes with course fees or things, you'll be able to see that as soon as they've made those registration changes. So if you have something beyond that, we're happy to try to help, but we can't guarantee that we'll be able to share everything about a student's entire record here at the university.
Awesome. How soon can fall payment arrangements be made?
If you'd like to pay now, you certainly can. If you have a ballpark figure, if you'd like to send your payment, The payment plan and the deferment forms will not go live until the bills are actually posted though. So middle July, the bill will go out, our payment plan option will be available, and the promise to pay will all be visible in Transact.
Are 529s or other prepaid tuition programs considered outside financial aid?
No,
When are the estimated costs from an account removed?
the estimated costs. Much or
I think that might refer to the weighted estimates for housing and then the actual estimates depending on where the students may be or their meal plans. I
got
think
it. So, in terms of what students probably have received up to this point, it would have been a cost of attendance estimate or their award letter with some general amounts. So those are like what an average freshman would expect to pay. So all the tuition, the mandatory fees, an average double room, an average meal plan, it would be all of those charges, kind of the median of all of those. On the bill, you'll actually have all the specific charges your student is responsible to pay. So their tuition, their housing, their meal plan, as well as any registration fees associated with that. So that'll be mid-July on the bill.
them. If a student is an RA in future years, how is housing and meal plan presented on the statement? Is it just waived, or how do they view that?
Sure. We are still going to charge students for the room and board on their account. You'll see the actual charges, but there will be an award in financial aid. It will offset. So it'll actually match the exact amount of the tuition and I'm sorry, of the housing and the meal plan awarded by the RAs.
Awesome. If a student reported outside scholarships, do they have to wait for them to be approved before it shows on their financial aid offer or on their billing statement?
So on the billing statement, we are only going to display the scholarships that you've actually received, the payments, the physical checks that we've received. So if there's a payment coming from an outside scholarship organization and they need our contact information, where to send it, any of that stuff, that would definitely be something you could reach out to us now. It is on our website. Our mailing address is on there, but it's the 502 East Boone Avenue. And that is Attention Student Financial Services. As long as they have your name and ID number, we can make sure that it gets added to your account once the payment actually arrives. If it's still pending, unfortunately, you're not going to see it on the bill. So if you know there's a ton of aid coming in, it's not coming until like the first week of school, like when you bring us the scholarship checks, I would say defer your payment, just to make sure that we've accounted for that. But it's not going to show up on your award letter. The financial aid is just going to use that to see if it impacts any of your other aid. So.
If someone comes into some money or would desire to pay more than what's presented at the bill out of pocket, how would they go about that?
Right now, you can actually log in if your student has been able to log in and view it, or if you're set up as an authorized payer, you can make a payment on your account. You can certainly mail a check to us or bring a check in if you're local. And we're happy to apply that. All that I would request is if you could include some information about what you'd like us to do with that. For instance, a large check, if it overpays what they owe for fall, if you'd like us to just retain it or keep it on the account, just include a note with that, and we're happy to keep that in the student's record so that we know to let that ride.
How are 529 and outside scholarship funds usually received? Is it by check or another way?
A nice generic answer for you. Every single 529 is different. Washington 529, because we are a Washington State institution, they actually have an ACH transfer for us. So we will receive the funds from that directly to our bank account, and we'll apply the payments once we receive them. I mentioned in my rambling, August 1st for Washington 529 is when you can request the funds for next academic year. Everyone that has a college savings with Washington 529 usually does it on August 1st. So I can guarantee there's going to be a delay. If you request it that day for everyone, it's going to take a couple weeks for the funds to actually come through to our office. So the deferment usually is the best one for 529 organizations, just to make sure we have time to receive it. But other 529s have partnered with Flywire, actually. So not international funds, but they'll send the funds to us electronically as well. So it kind of depends on your 529 organization, but I would reach out now and see what their preferred method is. If they want our ACH information, if they want to know if they can just mail a check, all of those options are available now. So if they want to start sending it now, that's great. But like I said, some actually require a bill before they'll send it. And then they may even require students to get a verification of enrollment letter. And that's done through our registrar's office. That just confirms that they are a registered student here. So some 529s are, they want a lot of information. Others, you just have to log into the portal and say, hey, send the money out. But I would suggest looking into that now, so you kind of see what the limitations are.
Awesome. So we've got a couple questions about communication with parents. Can you just go over if a parent or if and when a parent becomes an authorized payer, what sort of communication are they able to have with you? And also, is there any proactive communication? For example, if the parent is an authorized payer, do they also receive communication when a bill is available?
Yes, parents who are set up as authorized payers will be notified of everything in the billing system as the student would. So anytime a bill is available to view, they would be notified via email about that. They can also opt in to receive text messages if you're so motivated. But students have the ability to set up parents to view their tax forms in there as well. So the 1098-T tuition statement we will prepare in January. If your student has granted you that access on their account, you'll get notified about that form. You can download the bills. You can actually look at the bills online. And like I mentioned, the dynamic bill keeps up in real time. Students, as always, are kind of the core of this. They know when changes are happening on their record, when they've met with an advisor, when they're adding classes, when they're changing their schedule. So I would just recommend that you keep in contact with your student. If there's going to be something that's huge changing on their account, they usually know about it before we do. But we will notify you as soon as we are notified as well. So changes to registration, if there's a balance due, we will send you a notification as soon as we know about it. So like I said, I think unfortunately students usually know before you or I know. So.
Awesome. And this one might be more for Louisa, but can you explain what the student aid index is and what that measures that students see on their financial aid offer?
Sure. The student aid index is the number that the government uses to let us know what aid eligibility the student may have. So it's going to determine Pell Grant eligibility, state grant eligibility, and then also subsidized loan eligibility versus unsubsidized eligibility. So the lower the SAI, the needier the government sees the family as being.
Thank you. And how do outside scholarships affect a financial aid offer? For first-year students, can outside scholarships be used for additional costs and fees that are not tuition?
So more often than not, scholarships that are received can be used toward expenses other than just tuition and fees, but it would depend on the outside scholarship. If they have that stipulation that it must be used toward tuition and fees only, we would need to honor that, but most don't have that requirement. And then if the outside scholarships push a student to where their total financial aid exceeds their cost of attendance, this is very rare, but if that were to happen, we would then reduce one of the sources of funding, which typically we would reduce loans first and then work study. Or if you have a preference, we would try to honor whatever your preference of reduction was first.
For the Parent Plus loan, do folks already know what the expected parent cost or difference between scholarships and the received amount would be? So basically, can folks figure out what the loan amount would be that they would need to take out?
You can, if you go to ZagWeb and view the financial aid offer, it's going to give you like the net cost. And so you would kind of use that net cost to try to determine how much of a Parent Plus loan you need. You can also wait for your billing statement that you're going to get in July to figure that out. Just know that the government is going to retain a portion of that as a fee. So you'd want to take that into consideration. It's like 4.228%, I think, for the Parent Plus loan that they're going to just hold on the top.
Awesome. If a 529 plan is paying Gonzaga directly, what is the grace period and how does Gonzaga know the 529 plan is paying them directly? And this person is specifically talking about a 529 plan based out of Nevada, and how does that differ from a Washington 529 plan?
So to get just as gross as possible, every 529 is different. There's not a blanket statement that fits each state, which is the unique thing about 529s. I would absolutely reach out to your 529 now and see what they are gonna require before you send the funds. If they know it's gonna take, we'll close or we'll send the amount based on a certain date in the future. If you know it's not gonna happen until at the end of August, I would suggest deferring. If you know you're still gonna need to do a monthly payment plan, I would suggest enrolling now, or enrolling once the payment plan's open. And then as soon as we get your 529 payment, it'll just help reduce your remaining 3 payments for that semester. So I would say if you're concerned about when it's gonna arrive or how it's gonna impact, feel free to reach out to us and we're happy to work with you and figure out a solution that makes the most sense. But most of the time, 529, as soon as you request it, unless they specifically give you a window of time that they can't send the funds, usually it comes within 5 to 7 business days or a week or so. And then at that point, if it's through Flywire, we get notified and we add a note on the account. If you have any sort of information that you want to share ahead of time, feel free to do that. But if you know it's not going to arrive by the August 6th payment arrangement deadline, I would suggest either deferring, just saying, hey, I plan to pay. I just know it won't be there until, closer to the start of the term. And there's no fee to defer. So if you have something in the works, the payment's coming, we just need to wait for that payment to arrive. I would suggest the promise to pay the difference.
Can folks request an early statement so they can start working with a college savings plan holder as soon as possible?
So the financial aid award, like Louisa mentioned, has the estimated cost right now. I can guarantee we're about 2 weeks out from the fall semester bills though. So until I get kind of everything finalized from all the different departments in terms of registration, housing, the meal plans, I can get you a really close estimate, but the information that's on your award letter is pretty accurate to what you would expect to have to pay.
Awesome. And just confirming that there is no fee when paying tuition through a checking account.
Just be very mindful. The new one that I'm starting to see is people are putting their bank account number as their debit card number. So we'll get return payments for that. So if you pay online, as long as you know your bank account number and the routing number and pay it as an electronic check, there's no fee to pay as that way.
And then just reiterating, once a parent is an authorized payer, then they are able to call into student accounts and have questions answered directly from student accounts, but they have to be an authorized payer first, right?
Correct. Yes.
Awesome. And then can you go through exactly what the authorized payers will be able to see? For example, tuition, or is it just a general number? Is there a breakdown of the different tuition and fees that they may be paying for?
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, you actually get a lot of information. So as soon as you're an authorized payer on the main screen, there's just a summary of the charges. So here's what your current balance is, here's what your pending aid is, here's all of that. But if you click on the account app or account details, it breaks it out. So everything that you're going to see on the bill, we itemize in that activity details page and it'll keep up in real time. So as soon as a student makes a change, you'll see a fee go on or off or something like that. So you'll be able to see in your own portal all of the charges that are on your student's account at any given time. You'll also be able to see if there's pending financial aid, especially after the first week of the semester. If it still hasn't paid on their account, usually there's something outstanding that somebody needs to do related to loans. That's usually the master promissory note or entrance counseling as a first-time borrower. So you'll see all of the same information you see in the bill. You'll see it keeping up in real time on your account. We just send a static bill at the start of each semester. So like, hey, as of right now, this is what you owe. And then that activity detail page is going to keep track as your students making changes on their account. If they change their meal plan or if they do anything else like that, it'll keep up with that as well.
Perfect. This person remembers seeing somewhere that there's a fee for student health insurance. Is this an automatic charge for all students, even if they are covered by insurance?
Gonzaga University actually does not require student health insurance. We have links on our website where options are available, options if your student does not currently have medical insurance. What we do require is an accident policy. So what we refer to it as the mandatory accident insurance and wellness fee. That fee covers an accident policy for students here on campus, attending classes on campus. It's a liability coverage. Unfortunately, you can't opt out of that. If you're attending classes here on campus, it is a mandatory fee. And then it also goes towards the costs associated with our health center or counseling center. So if students want to go and schedule time to meet with our health colleagues in the student health center, they can certainly do that. So that fee goes to cover both of those items.
Will all fees, specifically for music majors or any of those other academic majors that have additional fees associated with them, are those available on the bill that is presented in July?
So we are going off of what registration is available in July. If there's still changes to schedules or they need to test into different classes or things are still happening after the fact, you'll be able to keep up with that in real time on the account. But the original bill is only going to be what you're registered for as of the time of mid-July. So at that point, that's a snapshot of what's going on right then. Like I said, if you know that changes are going to be added to your schedule, I would just double check in Transact Payments. Hey, what happened now that I, added this music lesson or something? And then the final day to add classes is usually the middle of the first week of the semester. So after that point, if there's any other fees that are coming on, I feel like usually it's some sort of a manual involvement, like you're, petitioning the dean's office or someone else to get written into a course. So any of that, you obviously would know first, because there's a little more involvement after that. So up until that point, we are still notifying you, especially with brand new students that are registering. Students can register all the way up to the first week of the semester. So we're sending bills out every day, but you absolutely have a real-time dynamic bill of what's going on every time there's changes to the account.
Awesome. If a student needs to purchase additional books for classes, does that go through the student accounts billing statement?
No, it does not. So billing for our textbooks is not done through the student account. The university partners with Follett. The bookstore is owned by Follett, sorry, but it's here on campus. So you can actually look up your schedule once you're registered for fall semester. You can type in your ID number. It'll give you an itemized breakdown of all the books you're going to need for the fall semester, as well as the ISBN numbers. So if there's information on there that you're able to book, to download, or sorry, to reserve, rent, buy through the bookstore, that's great. If you want to look into other avenues for purchasing books, you can do that as well, but we do not charge it through the student account. As soon as Bulldog Bucks, I see the next one is Zag Bucks, that it's referred to as Bulldog Bucks, is our flexible spending account. The meal plan component has a portion of the meal plan is included with Bulldog Bucks, but you could actually load Bulldog Bucks onto a student's Zag card, their student ID card now, if you'd like. That money will be available as soon as they get their ID card, but they can use Bulldog Bucks to purchase their books through the bookstore now, or you could pay using credit card and debit card, or in person. You can obviously pay with those items as well. But no, we do not charge the books through their student account.
Awesome. I think we got through all of them. On your slide now, you'll see contact information for Student Financial Services to schedule an appointment, the direct phone numbers for financial aid and student accounts. So thank you so much for joining us. We are still getting some more questions. I just want to be sure that folks know that this is not the last time to ask questions. And any of our offices, the Office of Admission, Financial Aid, Student Accounts, we are always available to help guide you and answer any questions that we have, especially for some of those more personal questions that are pertinent to you and your family situation. So always feel free to reach out to us. Seeing some messages, just wanting to make sure that we are getting everything. So yeah, hope you all have a great night. Again, this is being recorded and will be posted on our website and hopefully emailed to you all by the end of next week. And hope you all have a great evening. Huge thank you to Louisa and Samantha for joining us and dedicating all of this time to share this very important information with everyone.